Mr. Beck.
Okay.
Okay.
The Planning and Zoning meeting for April 18th, 2018 will now come to order. Please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can we have roll call, please?
Chairman Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairman Shavir.
Here.
Secretary Chambers.
Here.
Member Faison.
Here.
Dr. Faison. Member Baker. Member Ritchie.
Here.
Member Noel Copeland.
Here.
School Board Member Hare.
Here.
And we have quorum. Next is approval of minutes for March 21st, 2018. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve the minutes
Okay.
last week.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All persons who anticipate speaking on any public hearing item must first fill out the oath card to be heard on that agenda item and sign the oath card contained thereon. These cards are located on the table near the entrance to the council chambers or may be obtained from the recording secretary. This meeting will be conducted in accordance to procedures adopted in Resolution 24-1997. Those speaking in favor of the request will be heard first, those opposed will be heard second, and those who wish to make a public comment on an item will speak third. The applicant may make a brief rebuttal if necessary. A representative from either side may cross-examine a witness. Anyone who speaks is considered a witness. If you have photographs, sketches, or documents you desire the Commission to consider, they must be submitted into evidence and will be retained by the City. Please submit such exhibits to the recording secretary. Staff has the entire one item been properly advertised?
Yes, it has.
And has anybody on this board had the opportunity to speak to anybody in the public or visit the site coming before us? Okay, with that, if we would go to the item.
Yes, item 9A starts, the summary report starts on page 8 in your packet, and that's where I will be reading from. This is for small-scale comprehensive plan amendment number 1-2018. The applicant is requesting a small-scale amendment and rezoning in order to construct a single-family home on 2 lots, which are intended to be unified into 1 lot. Based on information from the Brevard County Property Appraiser's Office, the total property area is approximately 2.57 acres. The amendment proposes to match the boundaries of the existing conservation and low-density residential future land use designations and the existing OR and R1B zoning districts with the boundary between the wetlands and uplands as confirmed by the submitted wetlands boundary survey. And probably the best way to describe this is with the maps that are down on page 14 down through 19. The aerial that is on page 14, kind of in the middle of the 2 red shapes there on the map, you see an area of vegetation that looks a little different than the surrounding areas that are more of a brown color. And that's basically an area of uplands that are between more or less 2 wetland areas. And so the map on page 15 illustrates the existing future land use boundaries, and the map then on page 16, you can see there that the kind of that same round area is proposed to be changed from conservation to low density residential. And there again, that was based on a wetlands survey that was provided to staff and is also in page 19 of your packet, and it basically takes that same kind of circular shape that the future land use map and zoning map are being requested to be amended to. With that, I will be happy to try to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. Why don't we do this real quick? Why don't we open to the public? Well, yeah, let's open to the public and hear from the applicant, and then we have cards on this.
Michael Cunningham.
Mr. Cunningham.
Mr. Williams, how are you, sir? Been a while. I'm here just simply to answer any questions. We'd appreciate your support in this petition. Mr. Crouch is here. He's the owner of the land, and he's going to build his home there. The the portion of the lot that is the uplands is where he's going to build. And the original maps from the city really didn't represent what was the wetlands. And once we did the survey, it proved out that the uplands were in a different location from what the map showed.
Yeah, all I saw on this was that it looks like you retruthed it, and so you have. I mean, at first I went through the maps, and I had to go through it a couple times, but it seems straightforward. You have an upland. You reconfiguring it to make it more usable, and
Yes.
it's
And combine two lots to do
right.
it.
And unity of title. Is that what it is? Unity of title.
It's in the process.
Okay. Are there questions of Mr. Cunningham? See none? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we've got one question. Vice Chairman has a question.
I'm assuming that the conservation area will remain as it is?
Outside of the single family.
Outside of the buildable area that you're working with?
Yes, sir.
So that's just codified, and that will stay like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, basically it overlays what's now really the wetlands, whereas before it was on the uplands.
Okay,
And
thank
that,
you.
that was the problem.
Okay. Is there any other cards?
No, sir.
Okay, so we will close this item to the public, bring it back for the board. We may break records. I mean, I've said that before, but so are there questions of staff or comments? Member Noel Copeland.
I hate to ask a question, but does the house have to be built in a certain place on the combined property? And would they have to get additional permission if they, down the road, decided to build outbuildings? Or, I mean, I'm just trying to understand, like, what exactly is being permitted?
Sure.
And what are the restrictions?
Sure, they would be allowed to build within the area that they're rezoning to single family. So within that, they will have to meet any required setbacks or anything like that. But as far as a very specific location, no, they have the flexibility to work within the setbacks that are established by the zoning district to place the house where they would prefer. And as far as any outbuildings in the future, they so long as it's consistent with the R1B zoning district, there again could, so long as they meet the setbacks and acquire the appropriate permits, they could build, a detached garage or shed or something like that if they so chose in the future.
Okay. Now, because this is conservation, is the setbacks 50 feet?
For the open space and recreation, I believe that is correct. However, the R1B setbacks are what would be applied for the upland area, because that's
Right.
what the upland area would be zoned.
So then what's the setback on this?
The setbacks on that, generally the front is 25 feet, the sides are 10 feet, and the rear is 20 feet.
So they got plenty to work with.
I believe so, yeah.
Right.
We submitted a site plan to staff. Obviously, it wasn't needed for this, but I have it with me. We'll be approximately 180 feet back from the front setback line. We'll be about 75 feet from the rear, 142 from the left side, and 72 from the right side. So we're well inboard of property lines.
I was 2-point-something acres, and I was just looking at the center of this. It's more than, unless you're going to build a mansion, but I mean,
No.
it looked like enough property with the entrance, so there's no mitigation of crossing. So, okay. Are there any other questions of staff or of the applicant on this? Okay. Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion that we approve, which is section 2018.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. Can we take a vote on this?
Vice Chairman Shavir.
Yes.
Member Ritchie. Yes. Member Faison.
Yes.
Secretary Chambers.
Yes.
Member Noel Copeland.
Yes.
Chairman Williams.
Yes. Motion passes. And when does this come before council?
This will be before City Council on for first reading on April 24th, which is next Tuesday, and then the public hearing will be on May 8th, which would be the first meeting in May.
Okay, well, good luck, sir. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, let's go back to reports. Or is there anything staff would like to report?
I just have one quick thing. Lori's passing out. The American Planning Association offers resources to planning commissioners and things like that. Unless I hear any opposition from any of you, the city's going to go ahead and get the commission members' membership to this. And once we do that, I'll be more than happy to send out how to access the information. But the American Planning Association puts out monthly magazines and then also quarterly magazines that just talk about different planning issues, how different areas are addressing environmental concerns or development pressures or things like that. And so it's a good way to stay aware of what's going on, in the state and all throughout the country. And so we thought it would be a good opportunity. So unless I hear any pushback, we're going to go ahead and move forward on getting all set up with that. And we'll get the contact, or not the contact information, but the any kind of login information out to you once we have that ready.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Anything from city attorney?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll go to petitions of requests from public present. Anything gentlemen would like to come up? Okay, so let's go down the list. School board, Mrs. Hare, do you have anything you'd like to report for the school board?
Yes, I do. Some good news. Mr. Lindman sent it to me yesterday. He said the latest news release is about the facilities and how they are becoming more energy efficient and cost effective. And he goes on to say there's a link if you want to look at the link online on the Brevard County Schools. I can give you that. Just see me after the meeting. In the article above, which is in the link, it says that the U.S. EPA awarded 32 of the district's facilities the Energy Star certification. Additionally, our LED retrofit lighting program will save $500,000 or more each year, which I thought was substantial. Furthermore, several of the BPS facility renewal projects using the surtax that we were talking about in the summer were recognized by the Association of Energy Engineers and the American Society for Heating and Refrigeration, and air conditioning engineers as well. So during a recent tour, they took of the facilities. They completed an air conditioning project which badly needed to be done. They were renting air conditioning units. Now they can buy them. That highlighted the improvements in efficiency and design. So that was all good news for our school board. Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Member Noel Copeland.
Nothing to report?
Member Faison.
Nothing, sir.
Vice Chairman Shabir.
No report.
Secretary Chambers.
I get an email from the chair of the Affordable Housing that said all preceding meetings will be canceled because they did not get the federal funds that they were expecting. So they didn't get the money, so no sense in meeting.
Okay.
So that's,
I thought that was the city board that you have city funds.
I will have to check in on that. It's the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, I think is the formal title. They have met a couple times since I've been on staff here, but I'll have to look into that. I'll check in with Neighborhood Services and see what I can get on that and provide any information I have to you all.
yeah, I've been on it. You were there a couple times with me. I've been there like maybe 5 times since I've been on the board.
Yeah, I know they meet periodically, more or less, kind of as needed. So they don't meet as frequently as this board or others that we have. But I'll certainly look into that and see what the reasoning was behind that.
Yeah, they had sent me a list of dates that they're planning on having meetings. And then I got this last one that says, forget it. We didn't get the money, so,
I'll look into it.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Member Ritchie.
No, not really. I just would like to voice my opinion. I still like to get paper. I like to take notes on the agendas.
Understood.
Yeah.
That's two.
Yeah, I would like also to, lots of times when we're working on these notes that you give us the agenda, using the computer is fine, but when you have to make notes in the margins, okay, and you want to maybe ask questions about a particular thing, it's much easier if you have the printed copy to do that. Because I can make those notes and reference things in my own hand as opposed to going back and forth. And I don't see the cost savings can be, I just don't see where that should be an issue for the number of people that we have here. So, I mean, using, I go through my iPad and sit there and read it, but I'd like to scratch and make scribbles on the side margins. And I would have to print out the whole packet to do that myself.
No, understood.
So it just would be, I don't see how we're saving that much, a few bucks, whatever it costs to print that for the commission and not being able to do that.
Understood. Would it help if we at least, I know we discussed this in the past, mailed out copies of the cover sheet, the actual agenda item that lists all the items and kind of the brief summary of them? Would that help you all? At least that way you could make notes next to specific items to kind of remind you whenever you got here?
Oh, we can try that.
Okay.
We can try that and see if that's sufficient.
We'll be more than happy
like I said,
to.
lots of times, I don't want to have to, I'm like the city, I don't want to go out and
No, I
don't
understand.
want to print 100 pages just so I can make notes.
I understand.
So,
Sure.
Is the real savings in not printing, or is the real savings in not mailing?
It's both, actually.
Can we
because
split the difference and have them printed if we want to pick them up, but not mailed?
I can run it by the planning manager and
Does
see.
that,
And it really depends on the amount of items on the agenda, to be honest, because we figured up the cost of what it was, and I forget now what it was, but basically we figured out that we could pay for all these laptops within about a year of not printing agendas. So it does add up very quickly, because while you all get an agenda, we also have to make extra copies for the front table and for others. So it adds up very quickly, the costs, and that is the reason why we're trying to get away from it, if at all possible. So I'm happy to try and accommodate as much as possible. But now that we have the computers, I don't think we're going back to full paper copies. But like I said, I'll be happy to try to accommodate the best that we can on this, because I know that it's definitely a shift from what everyone is used to.
Well, in terms of having the copies ready, we all live within, if in other words, if you produce the copies for us, the hard copies, we can certainly come by and pick them up within a few days or
Oh, sure,
of the
understood.
printing. So that's
Absolutely.
as far as delivering it, that's not necessary, or mailing it, that's not necessary.
Understood.
Okay.
Were you guys using the city service, or not city service, a service provider for your?
No, we were just using we have basically the same kind of copier that Staples or anything like that would have in our office, and we were just running it through there. But it's still, there's agenda packets that are hundreds of pages, and that adds up very quickly when you're printing 12 to 15 copies of it twice a month. So.
Okay. And I have nothing to report, so we're adjourned.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.